I'ma go up, slide, slide. You the one top it, top it, top it. Here we go.
So strange. Okay. Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for showing up. I'm the second speaker of tonight, and I want to dedicate this talk to the importance of community building and having people to talk to, especially when freelancing. Because oftentimes we think of 3D artists as these like loners who just, especially freelancers, who just sit in their rooms, just tap away, hit render, and then something nice appears. But that couldn't be farther from the truth for me, because my journey's been anything but solo. Because behind every project that I've done and published, there's always a web of inspiration, like these guys' Büro Klaus Allmann's pictures on Pinterest, for example, or the side effects docs, or just in general people who have pushed me forward and kind of supported me and also challenged me when I worked. And like they say about a child, it takes a village to raise a child. I would also say that it takes a village to raise an artist. So without further ado, let me introduce myself and as well as my village. So, who am I? I'm Danial Ghods, a freelance 3D artist, primarily using Notch and Houdini. And here's my reel, actually. Yeah, this is already. Thank you. Yeah, this is already a great example of talking about a village and the people who support you. The music, for example, for this one was done by this guy in front here, Dario. You can also round of applause. Yeah, so I'd like to just talk about my journey and how it started. So in 2020, I found my creative community on the CG Wiki Discord. I don't know how many of you, show of hands, know the CG Wiki. All right, three people. Okay, some work to do. And how did I get there? The journey kind of looked something like this. Like it wasn't like a straight line to get there. But I'd been following Stefan Walsch. Maybe you guys know him, maybe not, for a while. And I hit a roadblock very early on in my Houdini career. And I figured, okay, maybe I'll just ask him if he has time for a video call, you know, just like a shot in the dark. And he actually said yes and agreed. And we had a video call that was very productive. And after some back and forth, he mentioned a Discord server where there's all of these veterans who are keen to help you for some reason. And figuring that he gives good advice, I decided to join his Discord. And the reception was very nice. Actually, can you see? Yeah, and I kind of felt like I was immediately like part of the Discord because people, like, it was more than this, but yeah, people were just nice overall. And over the last 5 years, I've posted around 7,000 and something messages, asking questions, seeking feedback, and trying to contribute as much as I could to other people's questions. And then I started to wonder, why is the Houdini community like this? Like, why does it seem so unique and like its openness and its collaborative spirit? And why are there veterans who actually work at ILM and all of these big name studios helping schmuck like me at the start? Yeah, so I figured I can just ask them, right? They seem approachable enough. So I did. And I asked them 2 questions. I asked them, what motivates you to help others? And I also asked them, what makes the Houdini community feel so unique in its openness and collaboration? And here are their answers. So we start off with Metastella, who's kind of like the chief of the village because he started the whole thing. And he mentions that he is paying it forward after also having been in a similar position as me, where he was just scouring internet forums, trying to get advice, like scrounging up hip files. And he also says that it felt wrong to hoard this knowledge. So that's why he just publishes it for free. And as to why he thinks the community is unique, is that he mentioned how everyone who uses Houdini, or almost everyone, just kind of has this quirk that they like to show off how clever they are in all of their files, which also fosters the spirit of openness and just sharing files and helping people. Then I asked Paul Estevez. How many know Paul Estevez? The VNet guy, the Houdini time? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and he said something similar, which is that he has no desire to gatekeep knowledge and that sharing his knowledge just feels kind of natural. And I think for him, he has the added benefit of, I guess everyone has the added benefit of when you actually teach someone something, that's when you internalize it. And as to why the Houdini community is unique, he mentions that there's a high number of people who just love sharing knowledge, and a lot of them seem to be using Houdini, which is wonderful. The third person I asked is Arvid Schneider. He does lighting tutorials on YouTube and shading. And he mentioned also this gatekeeping thing that early on it seemed like a lot of people would gatekeep their knowledge, which bothered him, and he just kind of wanted to make a difference. So he just started putting out tutorials. And teaching is also win-win to him because it helps deepen his understanding, just like Paul. And the reason why he says that Houdini is somewhat unique in its community is that it attracts people who like to struggle, but in a good way, because they like to just share these elegant Houdini-esque solutions to even simple problems. Then I also asked Stefan Walsch. He mentions that it's like a generational contract, so kind of like pension in Germany, but also kind of different. And he enjoys puzzle solving and just helping other people out. And one thing that I found interesting, which I also noticed in the Houdini community, is that there's a high amount of pro density on these forums. So there's a lot of people who are actually very far in their career, who are used to working in teams because like there's a lot of collaboration in these big studios. And there also seems to be somewhat of a tradition in these big studios that older people help younger people, which is probably, or like more senior people help more junior people, which I guess is also applicable to smaller studios. Then the last one I asked was Jason Harmon. He does a lot of tutorials about, actually no, he did 2 tutorials about flip fluids, but he's a very approachable guy. So if you ever have questions, feel free to ask him. And he also mentions that just like everybody else, it seems like there's some kind of similarity to it, that everything he has learned has come from the online communities. So he's just compelled to give back. He also compared Houdini to a kind of niche sort of club where people just come around and nerd out together, which I also find kind of funny. And I resonated a lot with their feelings. And I feel like I, and hopefully you as well, can see how it has pushed my, maybe at the start, mediocre projects forward to a more polished state. So I'd like to show this with the example of this project. And initially I wanted to show the final video here, but I think it's cooler to like keep the suspense. So yeah, we'll start at the start. And the spark actually came from watching Zaza Budimir's talk about appealing character motion with minimal effort, because that just sounded like fun. I don't like character animation and I like minimal effort. Yeah, and I'd never done character animation before, so I wanted to give it a shot. And it was quite nice that I had such a tight deadline, because it was okay, it's for Halloween. I have 10 days and I need to learn a bunch of stuff that I've never done before. And how can you do it best? With just asking people and reading. Yeah, so I started with a sketch of these 2 characters, a vampire and Frankenstein's monster. And then I modeled and groomed Frankenstein's monster just using the regular, like just some VDB methods, quad remeshing it, VDBing again, quad remeshing more. And then just adding and the hair with Houdini's hair tools and rendering it out in Karma. And I somehow felt compelled to just share it in the Work in Progress channel on the Discord. And I immediately got some positive feedback. For example, Jan Hebein chucked some KineFX advice on my way as well. And it just kind of helped keep this momentum going of, okay, yeah, I'm going to finish this because there's something at stake, which seems my credibility. Yeah, and then Zaza Budimir also answered himself, which was kind of cool because he's the reason why this project even came to be. And he also reminded me that, hey, we only have 10 more days left. So I got to work. After some tinkering, I ended up with this look dev. And due to the immense stress in the process, he kind of lost his hair that he initially had. And I shared it again and voiced my concerns with some aspects that I don't know anything about, like rigging or the hair density on these characters. Help came immediately, again from Jan. And I also got a good reminder by Stefan to just start animating, and not get stuck in this usual comfort zone, which is look dev. So I did. I drew the skeleton, captured weights, and captured packed geometry for the rigid parts. Sasa even gave me a video rundown on how he animated these things, more in depth. Paul made one about IKs. And Stefan also gave me another great tip about how to get bendy limbs going by smoothing the capture attribute. I didn't even know you can do that. And then armed with this knowledge, I just began animating. This is the preliminary result I had. He lost quite a bit of weight, but not too shabby, or so I thought. Once I added some more elements to it, I sent it back in for like the traditional roasting. Okay, it has looped. And the feedback was vague and precise at the same time. I don't know if you guys ever get that. It's like, okay, the timing is still a bit rough. It needs snappiness and maybe some extra motion. So I tried my best to apply it. What was interesting to see during all of this is how people weren't even talking to me anymore. They started talking to each other about this project, which was just like very heartening to see how you can just like foster a community just by posting something in there and just get people to talk to each other. And the village chief also chimed in, and he thought his feedback was too late, but I managed to apply some of his feedback. Like, for example, where was it? The bats were too slow, and there was a little bit more of a delay. And the last thing that really pushed this project forward was the sound design, which super interesting about this guy. I just gave him like a very vague brief. I was just like, hey, I need some sound on this. And he managed to kind of make it. And what I also found interesting is that Dario is part of my village, so to speak, like part of the people around me who help me, who I help as well. But he's not even from the Houdini community at all. He's just like a sound guy. And this takes us to our final result. Just thank you. Yeah, and looking back, this project was shaped by the people around me as much as it was shaped by myself. And raise of hands, how many people do you think had a hand in this project? Was it 4, 7, 10? Okay, let's do 4. That's probably the closest. It was definitely more than 10 people because I looked at a bunch of movie references. I looked at different HGAs. Someone did sound design. 1,000 people at Side Effects did the documentation, or maybe more like 100 people. Yeah, which was quite interesting because it wasn't just me. It was, yeah, a lot of people. And if there's one thing that you're going to take away from this talk, it would be to find your village, if you don't already have one, and nurture it and let yourself be nurtured by it. And yeah, if you need help with that, or want some advice, or just want to like talk, you can reach out via chat@danialghods.com, and I'll try to get back to as many as possible. Are there any questions? Also, thanks for listening.
I don't have a question. I just want to say that I really enjoyed that one. I mean, I enjoyed yours. No, but it's like a totally different talk. Yeah. And I just, as I said with my question to you guys, that's not my territory. But I really appreciate the openness that you've showed us. Seriously, that was a very nice insight.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's probably the Discord, the CG Wiki Discord chatting.
I have notes.
Dennis?
I guess my question, what's probably the thing you had to struggle or were struggling most with this project?
With this project, character animation. Yeah, I have no idea how to do it. I still don't. I just the rigging is actually more straightforward than I thought, but the animation was like, okay, I have all of these bones and I need to control them. And then I also need to add a cape, and then I also need to add that. Like, just combining all of these elements, and especially with the character, was just really difficult for someone who's used to just making products spin or simulating stuff. Yeah.
You made it.
Thank you. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, a lot shorter than I expected. Yeah, we can go back to socializing now. Thank you.
Yeah.